Hello, folks. Welcome back to Derby County. Strikerless. I know. I even went and got a... So, yeah, I know. Before we get started today, a little bit of admin for the series as a whole, really. And I think it's a decision you'll all like. We're moving it to... No, we're not. What we're going to do is, because this series is more of the challenge-based than a story-based series at this point, we're going to kind of treat the uploads in that fashion. And that is why just after the summer transfer window, it's welcome to January. We're in January. We'll talk about it. Okay, run the intro. Let's delve in. Hello there, folks. Welcome back. Good to see you. I hope I find you well. Let's enjoy a week of hopefully happiness, right? As a Liverpool fan, I can have a little bit of happiness. It was a good season. All right, back off, whatever. Now, listen, right, I told you a moment ago, we're changing things up just a little bit. It's hard to create a story with a team that I'm having to recycle super quick, especially when you're trying to move from a side that are struggling in the Championship to a side that are competing at Champions League level, right? The story of some of those players just doesn't exist. We've had to let a lot of them go, which I'm not that happy about, but equally, is kind of crucial to the progression of this team. And today, the big thing for me is we're going to play Leeds and just play one game, but we're going to play HUGO FELIX in his first game for Derby. It feels like we signed him years ago, because we did. So what we've done is we've played through the entirety of the first part of the season, because again, I think the challenge that I set myself of trying to win in 3 years is the story here now. The challenge isn't the story of all the players and how they're going to do, and if they're going to progress, and if they're going to grow as people, right? And if I'm going to enjoy being their manager. The story here, it's a bit like my Do It Better series for those that have seen it, where you're trying to do something and then strive for something. And that's kind of how we're going to treat Derby for this season and the continuation of this season, and then moving forward into next season as well, right? How close to this can we get? Because, and the 11th looks worse than it is. We'll come to this in just a moment, but I say we sit 11th in the league table. We're 27 points. We're 5 points off 4th right now. And if you want to look at it, we are 6 points off 2nd. Newcastle, bear with me, Newcastle are running away with it. I know, terrifying. But yeah, so that's the situation we find ourselves in. Since we last met then, we had a really tough start to the season, right? We talked about it. Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City. Then we played Arsenal, and they battered me as well. And then, out of nowhere, we started to turn things around just a little bit. Of course, you saw me on deadline day. We brought in some big names, and hopefully that was going to turn things around for us. And it did. And I streamed a good portion of this as well over on Twitch, just to sort of play through and hang out with some of you guys too. It's not moving there full time. It was just, it worked. And people really enjoyed watching us play through, and a similar theme occurred. There were games that we could and should have won, and well, we threw a few of them away. You look at a late Leicester goal by Renier, really frustrating. Newcastle, again, a very late goal. We were pushing for a second and it never came, and they sort of just got away from us a little bit. But yeah, beat Watford, Southampton, Wolves, Bournemouth as well. Tottenham was a 2-0 win, a really good 2-0 win. Thiago Almada looking really good, and like he has been crucial so far. 4-1 win against Burnley, 1-0 against Villa, and a really, really good 3-2 win. Late Joe Willock goal versus Everton. That was really good fun. So it leaves us, as I say, in a competitive position. And when you consider Newcastle top of the league, a 3-1 defeat to them, not even that bad, really. You'll definitely be wondering, so I'll just show you. No, Newcastle's team isn't like crazy good. It's just good. They've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin. They've got Pedro Goncalves. They've got Guimaraes is still in there as well. Coop Miners plays well, and Max Aarons, as well as a whole host of others, like Diego Carlos in there too. It's just like a good team. Would I consider it a Premier League winning team? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I also, before we move forward, rejected a job invitation from Aston Villa. So thank you for Aston Villa, but that's not happening, just to keep you updated. We play Leeds today in 16th place. It should be a game we can showcase some of our skills in. Of course, we're sticking with this strikerless idea then, and the big news for me is that HUGO FELIX, after all this time, he was bought, as I say, quite literally years ago for 4.5 million, has been on loan for a whole season in Norway. He now returns. I think in terms of the player that we're getting and what we need in this type of system, he suits it all, right? The rest of the side then, when you look at this 11 compared to the 11 we had just a year ago, right, it's such a better side now. It is completely redone. Again, the story of Derby is difficult to track when you consider the player turnover that we've had. These 4 midfielders hadn't played a game for us at the start of last season or the end of last season. Melissa again, pretty new. Kuna there as well. Kabore, Sarr, Alderete, who's been again really good for us. Sarr's been the guy though. Malang Sarr has been excellent. A 7.39 when you consider he's playing in the Premier League against some real good strikers. Like he's on a bit of a heater at the moment. Pedraza as well. We're trying to outscore teams. That's the theory of this tactic. It always has been, and we're going to try and continue that today. Then it makes for some exciting action. We're at the start of January. I've already sold someone. We've sold George Baldock. Again, kind of has run his course here a little bit. 32 years of age. We got 4.6 million for him. Feels like a pretty good bit of business as in terms of backup right backs now to bring in in case we need one. You may have just seen him there. Sidibe, probably going to bring him in, hopefully on a loan deal for the end of the season. It just suits what we need right now. So here we are then. The updates continue as we play through against Leeds and hopefully get ourselves a result. They're a decent side though, and again the league is quite tight at the moment. They're falling away a little bit, but yeah, everything is looking better than it was at the very start of the season when we couldn't win against some of the best sides in the league. But now we're going to try and compete with some of those teams, so we shouldn't play ourselves down too much. And again, when you look at our team, it's pretty strong. It's a case of how strong can it be going into the end of this season, and then of course progressing into next year when the target is to win the league. As a man that has done many saves in the Premier League and had teams like this, as Leeds, by the way, on a terrible run, has had saves like this before, like quite often actually as well, we're in a situation where I would love to find ourselves just surprising everyone next season. And I know that's hard to do, and I know that's like not a great strategy of surprising everyone, but I know it's possible. And with the right additions, again, hopefully we get some money to spend at the end of the season, because even with like 60 million, 50 million, we could do it. We had 100 million to spend. I think we spent it pretty well, but we have to kind of show we've spent it well. The problem we're going to have is it's the Arsenal situation of a year gone by. Is, do I want to be in Europe come the end of this season, or do I want a free hit at the Premier League, basically, without loads of games to play, as Leeds here, who again haven't won in 5, as we've just seen, not just haven't won, have lost 5 in a row. Our forwards played in, and now Kuna's going to get this, and it's really interesting. Oh my word, it's abysmal. The ball played in, headed away again, just about. Okay, we're back on it. I'm so excited to see how Almada, how Felix do in this side. Lovely pass out wide, by the way. We'll come back to what I was talking about in just a moment. As again, working something here. Ari McTominay gives it away quite poorly. And now it goes all the way back to the goalkeeper, who lifts one forward, though. We don't mind that. We've talked about this 100 times before. Goal kick clearances, like, they annoy me a little bit on Football Manager, because it's how you get most of your chances. Speaking of which, here's McTominay. It's a brilliant strike from midfield. He's been good, actually. 5th goal of the season so far. Hugo Felix, by the way, with the assist. The team's cooking right now. I will say, actually, because I didn't really say this earlier, I hope you agree with my decision to make it a bit more about the challenge of the strikerless system than necessarily the story of Derby. We had a little bit of that in sort of the first part of the series, right, in building our way out of the Championship, but now it's definitely changed. So I think the format of the videos needs to change just that little bit. I feel like it's a smart choice. Right, anyway, 20 minutes in, we've got the lead, looking good. And again, with the right additions, you look at how close we are to some of those sides, it can definitely be done. I have ordinarily done it, though, with the promise of European football. So as much as I'm saying, do we want to be in Europe? Do we want the freshness to exist within our squad, game week to game week? I actually think in terms of the personnel you can attract, we're kind of maxed out a little bit in terms of the quality of player. I feel like we've done a really good job in the window, I must say. And now we arguably need to find a way to impress more players. That's a lovely flicks header on. He should definitely score. I'm glad he hasn't, as it's still 1-0 Derby. But yeah, that's the situation we find ourselves in. And I guess the end of the season will now be really interesting. I guess I'll leave it up to you a little bit. When do you next want to see March? We're thinking of just sort of late March, before then we have an end of season one on Wednesday. That seems right to me. And at half time then, a very, very basic game of football so far. Leeds generally dominating a little bit. Our midfield is looking good. It's a bit more diamond shaped than normal, which is interesting. It doesn't usually look quite as diamond shaped, but Almada loves to burst forward. It almost is as if he's set in more of a diamond than normal. But yeah, I love, you know what I'm like, I love the runs from these deeper areas, and Scott McTominay gets his goal as well. Almada not having the greatest game, but the positioning of him, I don't know if you saw it actually, maybe we should come back to it a little bit if I can find my way out of this screen. If you go onto the analytical data, or you simply look, actually no, we'll have to do it this way because you can't quite see it. We'll go to team and average positions, and then Derby, And then overall, it's so easy to do. It does look a little bit like he's pushed forward slightly ahead of the other two. It's more normal for me to see them all in a line. When we're without the ball, you can see even then actually that's really interesting. Without the ball, like, why is this so confusing? Without the ball, again, he's still pushed up that little bit higher than the other two without me telling him to. And then with the ball, again, nothing really changes. It's really interesting. Okay, because again, it's usually a flat line, whereas he actually looks like he steps out a little more and gets forward, which I think is far better for us because it just creates a different angle of pass more than anything, especially if he's trying to take up those sorts of positions. It makes me wonder if he's the guy to play in the more advanced role, actually, if he's already like wanting to do that and willing to do that. We find ourselves in an interesting position though, because of course we're leading right now. If we were behind, I'd almost certainly change it. But there is this little bit of me that's like, do we do it now? I guess if Leeds score, I might be inclined to change it. But again, we're already 1-0 up. We don't want to change too much as we've been dragged over here a little bit too much. It left one defender with 2 players to mark, and he didn't know which one to mark, and it left a player free, ultimately. It wasn't great. In fact, I want to see that again to see if I'm right. I think the right back ends up having to be in a pretty horrendous position as that ball goes in. 2 of them are pulled across, and Kabore there doesn't really know who to mark. He sort of stands near him, but he's obviously aware of the player behind him. Hence he stops and checks himself a little bit. Ball played in, and it's a quite easy finish. Right, we're going to make this change with Almada. I'm executive decision here. He's not having a good game in that position centrally anyway, so we're going to move him forward and play him. A lot of people suggested attacking midfielder on attack, because in theory, right, it's very, very similar to what the central players are doing anyway. So we'll see if that gets a bit more of a performance out of him. The 2 wide boys right now are having pretty poor games. We'll try and encourage them a little bit, as Leeds have had some pretty good chances. And again, now they've got their goal. Tails up. That looked onside to me, and I don't want it to be. But I think we are now 2-1 down. I'm not sure the change in midfield has forced it. But yeah, that looked very onside. They've turned it round against us. And this is one of those games, again. We've had a few of these. We had a few of these on stream recently where we're very much in the game. But as soon as it starts to slide away from us, the recovery job now is tough, and it makes me stressed, and it makes me want to play a striker. This is the sort of thing you have to deal with strikerless. It's like, yeah, but I've committed to the theme. Oh, what are you doing? How can I account for that? Goodness me. Ball played forwards. Should and could have scored. I guess we're going to change the wide boys because they're doing nothing. Rutherford's going to come onto one side, and then Quintana, who I don't think can play, out on the left, which is the worry. Although I know Almada can, I think, just a little bit, right? Yeah, so we'll put him out on that side instead. Quintana through the middle in an attack force. He's very, very quick, hopefully looking to get in behind defences or at least make those late runs. We'll take off some players that aren't performing. Almada's probably the other one, right? There's a corner now to Leeds, though. My word, they should and could have scored. Sarr somehow prevents a goal there. Don't really know how he's done it. Still 2-1 now, 15 minutes to go. Do we start to play? Again, there's things you can do, right, to try and alter it. You just play slightly wider, lower the tempo a little bit, play slightly shorter, be a bit more patient, so the chance that you get is slightly more clear-cut. That's one big issue we've had with Strikerless forever, really, is that you have a lot of half chances, or not even half chances, and not enough big chances. That's the big issue with Strikerless. Unless you get those like clear one-on-ones, right? As Quintana, this is the clear one-on-one we're talking about. And he's not scored it. And if you don't score it, it leaves you with a problem. Because our XG is nowhere near as high as it normally is either, as Leeds 2-1 up, just sort of cruising. And this takes what is a pretty okay season and puts it in the mud a little bit. Right, here we go. Is this our chance to equalise late? We don't do it very often, so it has me nervous, but you never know. FELIX, McTominay's got to play the through ball. Well, he's gone to Rutherford on that side, who's got a good right foot on him, some nice technical attributes. Can he get a ball into the centre? Someone's got to do something. This has got to be the moment. Lokonga, it's a great shot behind for the corner. Can we make something happen very, very late? It has to happen now. Almada's going to be on this then. Whipped in. We're there at the front posts. And that's the game, isn't it? That is the game. Okay, then. Well, work to be done. We're in the January window. It's not because we're going to do any transfers. There isn't really a whole lot I think is doable. We'll take a look at some loans. Of course, I'll update you next time on where we're going with this. Mega frustrating. Again, you look at the game there. We've had a similar amount of shots. We've had more shots on target today. Passing's been very, very similar. And their XG graph looks similar to what mine normally looks like, but they've just got the best of us today. And I'm not sure if I can lay blame anywhere, really. Almada's had a poor game. Like, we've not really controlled it enough. It's been okay. Like, defensively, you can see there, we keep the ball extremely well. We just haven't... Ultimately, it comes down to the fact we haven't created enough. And when your wide players are putting in 6.5s and 6.4s, that tends to be the thing that bins it off a little bit. We've not really seen enough from them. Again, whether I should move them centrally later in games, like this is, and now because I feel like I've changed the mood of the series a bit, we can talk about it a bit more tactically. So we'll do that just a moment right now and talk about what we could do when we're losing. Right, there are three kind of ideas that I think work with this. And I didn't do any of them in that. I kind of did, actually. I moved him forward, right? But you could, in theory, push these guys centrally as well. Maybe have them play as shadow strikers and push forward, because they're both capable of doing it, but you have them stay wider, right? So you have the three-pronged attack kind of changes how advanced it is, and you're still trying to commit that amount of players. We could have maybe made the fullbacks slightly wider, had them as complete wing-backs, have them attack, create extra different like versions of width. I would love to give this a go and see if this would operate in similar ways. You can probably afford for your central players, like at least one of them doesn't have to have the attack duty at that point. Like, you are committing enough, right? And again, you're having the width created in different places. I guess the argument here would be, I think Kun is right-footed, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so you could arguably swap these two players around. Again, they can both play there in a way, like they've both got the ability to do so. So it's not too bad, but not quite today. Not quite. All right, interesting though. And playing with this strikerless idea is something I still want to do. The FA Cup, I'd like to progress in that a little bit, because obviously it's a quicker route to Europe as potentially than us being 11th. And again, that defeat there, we're still only 5 points off Europe. If we can put a good run together, upset a few teams as well, we've got every chance. Tottenham are third with a -3 goal difference, and I'll leave you with that. So yeah, lots to talk about. Hopefully you'll see me tomorrow for some more of this then, and we'll figure out where we are with Derby. I'm excited. Although the New York Rangers playing Game 7 tonight, it could be very stressful. Take care, everybody. See you soon. We love with care. Strikerless. God damn it.